is indefinite, therefore intellectually isn't, by Vanessa G. Bush. Philosophy prose I made in 2016. Alright, let's keep going. We made it a 4 weeks vacation, who turned into his unexpected visit. Surely broke my heart to have to call my grandmother and best friend, who had got my guest room ready and activities, to call them and cancel. What a drag. I thought he was a honest man, but I realized he was manipulative and drilled for attention, but mostly women's, and gay dude. He left me a few days in the south while he disappeared. I don't know where. His co-worker, who also did his hair, invited us a few times for dinner. She was Russian and extremely thin. He would often tell me she had the perfect body, while I was a size 8. I wasn't seeing me as a fatty, but next to her, size 1, I was. Haha. Let's laugh a little bit. Everything is a tragedy, but a learning exploration process. Through a stage of life, we grow. Anyway, I would sit and watch him get a haircut. That didn't bother me, but when she kept calling during our trip, I finally put 2 and 2 together. Thinking of all those late evenings, he would get his hair done without me, and tell me he would stay for dinner. Not only that, but after we met with some friends of mine who had organized me a welcome party, he spent his time ignoring me. I was ashamed of being such a donor when 30 people make you a surprise party and you're depressed and hurt by traumas and bullshit crap, who has left you fucking frozen. You can't just let go and have a great time. It's like seeing them reminding me how lonely I was in America and all the traumatic abuse I had gone through, totally in a hiding. Just moving on, each time letting build the fume until it explodes, holding my past flashback hidden deep inside with all these other undealt frustrations. For years and years, releasing stress or panic attack by smoking joint until I was 22. But I got extremely paranoid. I couldn't smoke anymore, so alcohol was my new best buddy, keeping me company in solitude when I needed it or felt misunderstood. On our way back to this airport, we split, and a month later it was over. I dream of buying a private jet and working together as a duo was dead. After a month of continued text messages, he told me to watch up the sky because he might throw a bomb at me while riding a plane. That's when I knew he was clearly a lunatic, and I was so glad this story was over. Peace. This end. The Tennessee Redneck Guy, year 2003-05. Once upon a time, I fell under the spell of this charismatic, deep, clear blue eyes tattoo guy. He was at large to be a phenomenon that I have never seen before under my belt of over 100 of dates. I used to keep a journal. Yes, I truly did. I was a little heartbreaker for a few years. In a way, not because I meant to or chasing to cause pain upon other, but because being stuck with someone past 3 weeks usually started to get boring and I need new fresh skin. Lol, it's a joke. Basically, once the flames were out, it was time to move on. Here was my philosophy on it. I'm not getting or looking to get married until I'm 27 or so. So why bother? Let's have fun. Ironically, later on in life, karma came crawling back to me and served me with a load of heartache, lousy relationship. Shame on karma. And on those relationships, I paid my dues. Now where's my Prince Charming? This guy was funny, elegant, and physically very strong. We met in a nightclub that a guy friend of mine insisted to go. I remember sitting at the bar. There was atmosphere. It was slow, but my body was trying to hook me up and beg me to approach someone. So I did. And this guy was named Brent. We talked for an hour and exchanged phone number. The week after, he called and we spent hours on the phone until he invited me to meet his roommate who lived in a very old Floridian 5-bedroom house that they rented. The roommate and his girlfriend were extremely outgoing and into partying and fishing. The young woman was truthful, but when she got angry, she would throw furniture everywhere. Once I went to the kitchen. She was walking around back. They had a waterbed in their room and glowing fish tank and smoked a lot of weed. Brent told me she was schizophrenic and she was home studying to get her master in psychology, but mainly she was studying about medication and would make her own formula for herself too. She had kids. Their room looks like they never cleaned for months or taking showers. I think she was too exhausted with her study and pretty young to care for 2, 5 and 9 years old. Brent and his friend worked together doing flooring with his dad's company, who was a manager in a flooring shop in Bradenton, Florida. They got along great. Brent wanted to go to bars too frequently, and if we were to go to the movies or for a walk, he continuously wanted to buy beers. It was fun at first, during the summer. When it ended, I wanted to get to a normal, healthy week. But that's when I noticed he wouldn't. And when I actually realized he was an alcoholic. I was heading out to a cruise ship to work for a year, but he and my mother insisted to give the relationship another 3 months. She really likes him. And he had made a great impression on my father too, by offering to install wood floor in their house, and got close in a short amount of time. I wasn't too thrilled of this idea of postpone my career, but I gave it up and said okay. But within that 3 months, he managed to bury me under credit card, debt, car loans, electronic bills, and even moved in my parents' rental with me, in the promises he'll pay. He shared, but he never did. It was a story after a new excuse, and all I could do is wait and give him the benefits of the doubt. I was already under stress, with him begging and almost making me apply for credit card, something I never wanted, because I believed in being free of debt, and wanted to be able to travel before I settled down and invest in a house. I had never heard or knew anything about credit. It was all new to me. A few months later, I kept trying to pay all my debt he had spent behind my back, and even had me buy a car, get the other apartment so he could later trash it and run all this utility and break my contract. He wouldn't leave, so I had to. So I was left with $2,500 to pay and a small court appearance. We adopted a dog that he took to his mother's trailer and let him get run over. It was tragic. I was devastated. When things got bad in the 6 months, of course, I got bitten, strangled, hair pulled so hard that I had to cut my hair short, and it never regrow the same way. I called the cops twice, but never got a restraining order. Big mistake. I wish I did. I actually didn't know what it was, and I figured he was sorry and heavily drunk and sick, so I tried to forgive him, but it got worse. One night, he drank almost 2 bottles of whiskey, and always rumbled about his hateful Christian's mom and brothers, and something to do with his birth dad, and some hidden money in Tennessee that his grandmother was the only one to know about. His natural dad was a head miner director in mines, working long hours all his life, and was ashamed of his drunk, lazy son. So he abandoned him when he was 12, and his mother remarried and had 3 boys with a great man, but the mother was a drug addict and a prostitute gold digger. He basically raised his brother, and one day, when he couldn't take it anymore, around 19, he left. But the mom had told her sons that he was a no-good brother who never helped and abandoned them. So this is why he much narrowed her, and also knew about all her affairs. While remarried to a faithful man, she had no remorse. She then cleaned up and turned into the Lord and put all her kids in Bible study and homeschooled with despicable rules and sick beliefs. Her mind now was the one of a manipulative God believer, to the point that every single line in the Bible needed to be written over 100 times and learned. If not, she would wipe them with a belt. They'll go to church very often and barely anywhere else beside their trailers. So one day for 3 hours, he kept me his hostage in his room under his command. Quick me to the floor, and I spent the night in a hospital. I just had broken arms and a lot of massage clients that week. So in fear of flooding my job, I performed over 33 hours of massage with broken arms. Let me tell you, I ended up not looking great, getting concussions after and swelling all over. I found a way to end it. He kept trying to reach out any way possible, never stopped calling, stalking, harassing with love promises and pretty words, came coming back for a year, demanding money and threatening me to cut me if I didn't. I didn't want to bring more attention to myself, so I kept it quiet. And one day, he got forced in jail from an old warrant he had for a minor rape case and unregistered offender registry. Thank God, for you have relieved me of this burden of the drunken case of pathetic sorrow excuses of a person. I remember a story about a stripper who was a very unbelievable story, but he forced me to believe him, and now I can't imagine picturing how many women he had seen and slept with behind my back in that year while spending my money. See ya! 14 years later, I find his Facebook. He had 6 kids, a way for him to prove himself he will be a better dad than his dad was. He married with a 15 years younger, very insecure woman, probably so he can still get heavily drunk and beat her up. I trusted him, and he used me all the way and brought drama and trouble to my life. He left me with $4,000 in debt, a car who had to be returned, a small court hearing because he trashed my apartment by partying there for 2 weeks while letting the dog doing his business everywhere. He also caused my credit to be damaged and made me borrow money twice from people I trusted and left me with broken friendship. He made it impossible for me to start my already signed up contract with Stena Cruise for a year in Miami because I had to stay and repair all the damage he had caused and work to pay all the money he stole. So everything I had worked for and settled after my graduation to go work as a massage therapist on a cruise was drawn in water. And for what? Nothing. Because my mother insisted that I gave him a chance and missed my departure to allow the relationship to grow. I can't believe I had to fight her over this. But she insisted, and I wanted to please her. So I figured, if I go in 6 months, it's only 6 months. But 6 months was enough time for him to do that much damage, not only financially, but physically and mentally. When I find my dog dead, it brutally crushed me, and I couldn't understand how he could be so cold. He never cared. But still, I can't tell how many times I heard say, I love you, I love you, I love you. You are the most beautiful woman in the world. New story, the crazy Christian beach from Lakeland, WA. I have to tell this, and it's funny, as I'm writing each story and think which one will be next. New memories come to mind, like when our subconscious never forget traumatic event, but still don't ever want to think of it and act as it has disappeared. This woman was a predator. In a quest of finding her prey, people who are vulnerable, disabled, poor, and in distress, she could approach and offer help. The worst part is she will come house, spending hours in libraries to watch around and listen to people talking in a hope to find someone. Before you meet enough creep in your life, you don't see them, watching people from afar, analyzing their every move, waiting to either commit a crime or to seize an opportunity. When you live in freedom, most of the world is peaceful and joyful. There isn't any time for so loose wanting to blame everything and everyone, with better lives for their petty existence, by talking back what they think they deserve. I was on a computer with my then 5-month-old kid and was searching for daycare. I was on a computer with my then 5-month-old kid and was searching for daycare to start my new position in a tanning salon. I had just a few days to find it, getting close, but unfortunately, I needed extra money. Until my first day, I would get cash every week usually. She saw me searching and approached me and offered to help, to say she had references and babysitter before. She had a 3-year-old daughter, but I couldn't trust someone just off the bat. She insisted and asked me to call anytime to talk or hang out. I think she got me with this part. I started to call when I needed an ear to listen, and a few days later, I needed to start my job. So I asked to come visit her house and get all her info, and the deal was to pay how I could or by trading services, material. She was to babysit for 4 days only. Then it was scheduled in childcare. Even 4 days, she couldn't manage to babysit like a normal person. I noticed she had a built-in play area under the living room and a large home with a husband at work every day. The first and second day was fine, but the third day,